Black America Fest 2022. In the hot seat with me is Kevin McGary. He is the founder, I believe, of Every Black Life Matters. We're going to talk about that. But I want to start with this. I feel like there should be another civil rights movement. And honestly, this is something that Erica Donaldson brought up at an education breakout session she was having earlier today.
Wow. And
it dealt with education. Because we do have a problem here when it comes to educating poor and minority students primarily. You have educational institutions in Chicago. They call themselves public schools.
Right.
0% of the kids read or do math at grade level.
Right.
I mean, I feel like it's an education mission all around, but it's a civil rights movement.
It is. So here's the thing. Social anthropologists have already done studies on poverty and crime. And the number one thing they said, look, if you want to reduce poverty and crime across generations, the first thing you must do is, first of all, connect fathers to their children. So even if it's impossible for you to live it because you got kids all over the place, fine. Just connect to them, number one. Number two, they said school choice programs. So we need the ability for parents to direct their children to an appropriate education platform. Not everybody learns at the same rate, the same way. Some people need a little bit more encouragement, a little bit more hands-on, a little bit more mentorship. And we have various schools that can accommodate that, charter, private, parochial, whatever. But the problem is parents don't have $25,000, especially poor community parents, to send their kids K through 12 to private schools that way. So we need school choice programs where parents can literally begin to direct their children to educational platforms that are most suit their learning style.
Oh, but you know what the teachers' unions will tell you, or the school administrators, parents just aren't smart enough to figure out what is a good school and what's not. I mean, come on, right?
Right. So they'd rather sexually groom them. They'd rather confuse them with gender identity. They'd rather do all of these things that malign childhood development as opposed to really doing something positive that would help childhood development. Right now, the types of programs that they have directed at our children, it really is literally child abuse, in my opinion.
Well, what about Head Start? Wasn't that supposed to be such a winner? But actually, every study shows that even after Head Start, by third grade, they've lost any forward progress that they would have made them,
So we have a lot of ineffective childhood development programs.
Yes, we do.
And the real thing, and this polls very, very high, especially within black parents and black communities, the real things that we need are school choice initiatives. It polls at about 80+%.
Okay, so if every Black Life Matters, why are blacks still voting for Democrat politicians that are not doing the right thing?
Yeah, a lot of them are tied to tradition. A lot of them literally are tied to, they have a stronghold. They have a spiritual sort of stronghold, and they're attached to the Democrat Party. And that really is where, I mean, they would never admit this, but they hold it as a religion. That is where they must vote because it's a compulsion, it's tradition and all that. So we have to figure out a way to break the stranglehold of the Democrat Party, because really the Democrat initiatives are antithetical to great development within black communities. The Democrat initiatives are, give you one prime example. Democrats say, look, we must have abortion. Abortion must be available, especially for our poor communities. And what they're thinking of is, look, if you're born of a poor mother, you're going to be poor, and it's going to cost us more in the long run. This is racist, and we need to call it out as racist and demeaning whenever we hear them say that, because the reality is when individuals are born, everybody has the opportunity to have a different path than their parents took. So for us to assume that because you're born into a poor house or community that you're going to be poor is racist at the core. It's ridiculous.
Well, it is ridiculous. You know why? But that's how we define funding.
Yeah.
Is like you get extra money if you have a low-income school district.
Yeah.
Predominantly, you get money for every single one of those. I mean, but how did Ben Carson succeed?
Right. Exactly. So when we see these corrosive policies that really damage the black community, like abortion, like no school choice, and that the black community really needs to stand up and say, look, we want equal opportunities to be born at the same rate that every other ethnicity is. We want an equal opportunity to succeed at the same rate every other ethnic community does. And that requires school choice for us, and we need to start to demand that so we can actually have a level playing field educationally.
Okay, so we talked a lot about education, but tell me now about Every Black Life Matters, why you started it, what's
Excellent.
going on with it.
So the reason why we started is we saw BLM, Black Lives Matter, we saw our communities across the country being torn up,
Yes.
all right? We saw Black Lives Matter with their white supremacist friends in Antifa really literally burning down black and brown businesses. And then we saw pastors encouraging their parishioners, hey, go out and we thought, well, this is a bridge too far. So we understand that everybody felt a certain amount of grief, sorrow, anguish, or whatever it was when you saw the murder and the death of George Floyd. But the reality is that people wanted a righteous and faithful alternative to Black Lives Matter because they were Marxists, and some of the things they were doing were kind of demonic and all that stuff. They were violent and everything else. So we came out with Every Black Life Matters, because from conception to the grave,
Oh
from
my
the womb
gosh.
to the tomb, every single black life matters. Now, some
very
people would say,
clever.
yeah, some people would say, look, why not all lives matter, every life matter? What we're essentially saying is all lives matter, every life matter. If you put TOO at the end of Every Black Life Matters, TOO, what we're saying is, look, we should be born at the exact same rate that every other ethnicity is being born. But because Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger, she says, look, we want to exterminate the Negro population. We want to exterminate the black population. That's our business model.
Yes.
So so the 80 to 90% of all Planned Parenthoods are within walking distance of our black and brown communities across the country to this very day. The result is that blacks are being disproportionately targeted and exterminated per Margaret Sanger's plan. So what we're illuminating here is, look, every black life matters too. We need to get these abortuaries out of our communities, stop targeting us so we can at least be born at the same rate that everyone else is. And that is saying all lives matter. Look, all lives matter. So let these groups be born at the same rate that everybody else is.
Okay, so Kevin, where are you located?
Okay, so we're actually headquartered in Dallas, Texas, and but we go across the country. We help parents and communities understand the dangers of critical race theory, the dangers of liberation theology, black liberation theology, and the dangers of looking at biblical justice versus social justice. So we do a compare and contrast the dangers of social justice.
Okay.
So we do that, and then we also help corporations and businesses with our diversity and racial sensitivity.
What do you
training.
call it? You call it diversity
No,
and
we
racial?
actually call it racial sensitivity training. But the literal,
That's better.
Yeah, it is. It is better because we need to be sensitive that there's some things that have happened. There's
Sure.
some things that are happening today. We need to be sensitive to one another so we can better communicate, better align, better unify. But to go into an anti-racist training where then whites are castigated and pointed at as being the culprits of all the evils, that's counterproductive, and it tears up work environments as opposed to building unity in the work environment.
Well,
So
that's great, because what you're doing is you're offering corporations
Yes.
an alternative where they can almost, because a lot of times I think this is a check-the-box deal.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
Yeah.
like they're doing their equities,
Yeah,
the social
equity, yeah.
governance, whatever there's ESG stuff.
And they
it
need
is
to
a
check the box.
check-the-box stuff.
Yeah.
So you're saying, no, we're doing racial sensitivity training.
Yes.
Now, if presented that way, would be a lot different. And you're still getting that accomplished. So
Yes.
hopefully corporations are lead,
Yeah,
going
so
down
we
that
just
path.
started this 2 months ago, so we're
Okay,
now pushing
good.
it, and would encourage
Good.
anybody, if you want to find out more information, just go to our website, everyblm.com, and
Okay,
find out more about it.
everyblm.com is
Yep.
your website.
Yes.
Okay, very good, great. And one last thing for our listeners, this is your book
Yes.
called Woked Up. Just
Yes.
briefly explain if they get this book, what
So
they really
fundamentally,
find.
the subtitle is finally putting an axe to the taproot of white supremacy and racism. So it's called Woked Up, WOKED, and the point is that if you want to understand the woke movement, you want to understand what sort of underlies it, you want to understand the roots of racism and white supremacy, the reality is that all the wokesters and the entire woke movement is built on white supremacy and racism. So, but most people don't know that. So this book really firmly provide you with evidences, and it's not going after the woke movement per se, but when you read it, you understand that, look, anybody that's woke, that's not a good, positive thing.
No.
You are actually promoting white supremacy and racism while you point the finger at others and call others white Christian nationalists and this and that. You're literally, because you stand on wokeism, promoting white supremacy and racism. This book characterizes everything. It's fully footnoted. All the private letters from all the characters who have nefarious characters over history. So it's an excellent book. I encourage anybody to go there. You can get it on Amazon, Woked Up. Just type in Woked Up on Amazon. You'll get that. And it's all 5-star on Amazon. It's just awesome, the response that we've gotten from that.
All right, terrific. Kevin, thank you so much for being on The Real Story with Jeannie Ives.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate your time and what you're doing. We'd love to have you in the suburbs
Yes.
of Chicago.
Love to come.
To wake some people up.
You bet.
All right.
You bet.
Thank
God
you
bless
so much.
Thank you, Jeannie.
God bless you.
All right.